Hello and welcome to this podcast, Little Girls Aren't Taught This. I am your host, Self-Love Lydia, and this is a self-love podcast unlike no other. Within this podcast, we will go into all of the things that we should have been taught as little girls that would have helped us feel empowered, connected, and just unapologetic as we grew into women. I am the queen of deep transformations. I am on a mission to impact women around the world with self-love, and I am here to teach you how to be unapologetic and just step into your power. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. How is everyone doing? So I am just coming on to basically unpack a reel that I put on Instagram, I think it was this week, around hustle mode. And the reason I want to just talk through it in a podcast episode is because I know that it's kind of like juxtaposed against everything that we are now being taught and shown on social media about like this hustle and this very masculine way of being and burnout and all of these things. And for me this week, from my experience and for like a few weeks before and the few weeks after, I have no option but to be in hustle mode. So I just wanted to talk about it and unpack it because there's ways that I'm being in my masculine energy and there's ways that I am doing things in that like hustle nature, but also trying to really connect to that feminine and also approach things in a way that feels or that helps me avoid that like total burnout, or depends on what role you're in, like compassion fatigue or whatever it is for you. So just to give a little bit of context, as you know, I'm studying to do a master's in creative psychotherapy. It's been one hell of a fucking ride, should I say. Wow. Not only professionally, but personally also. And I am coming up to the last few weeks of the master's, which means all of my deadlines are fast approaching. And to say that there's a lot of work doing is literally an understatement. Like, there is so much work doing. It's a little bit overwhelming. Like, one of my assignments alone is 100 client hours to be done by the end of May. So it's a lot. And, you know, I was noticing when I was coming onto the Instagram space, I was being very triggered in this. I was being triggered by the type of content that says create more ease in your day, or I'm always in flow, or if it's not aligned, it's a no from me. And I was like, well, that just makes me feel like shit because I don't want to sit in the library after the full day of lectures. Like, I don't want to do that, but I have to do that. And what I noticed is like certain content was triggering me. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put my perspective out on a reel. And it got some really, really good feedback and a lot of comments off women saying, thank you so much for this. Like, thank you so much for just like giving us permission to be in that like masculine hustle. So one of the things I want to say is that I do not like hustle mode long term. Like, honestly, I just feel like it creates burnout and it leads a lot of people to feel like they just constantly have to be doing. And the meaning of hustle culture is a lifestyle where your career has become such a priority in your life, or the environment that you work in, that other aspects of being human, such as hobbies, family time, self-care, often take a backseat. So it's like instantly you can see why it's toxic, because it sets up like an unsustainable expectation. And what it actually does is like it encourages this really toxic lifestyle when you just give, like you just pour from your cup all of the time for these goals or these dreams or these careers. And basically we end up with burnout, or like I said, like compassion fatigue. So it's like if you work in the NHS and all of these things, you know, you will have burnout if you're working all of the hours under the sun and you're working with really traumatic things, and you know, people having illnesses and a lot of trauma. You'll also have that element of compassion fatigue, which means that you are just absolutely exhausted to your core, and you are not replenishing things for yourself, and you are not spending time with your family and doing the things that fill your cups and allow you to feel good in yourself. So that's the hustle culture. And then essentially I see this other thing on Instagram where it's like all about flow and I think this is very much in the entrepreneur like coaching world of like creating flow and ease, and you know, even like being on a laptop can seem like too much work, and just if it feels like a no, then I'm not doing it. And I think to a certain extent I embody that with my business. You know, like if certain stuff doesn't feel good to me, but then also I know that there's things that have to be done, unfortunately, in order for me to get ahead and me to create a business. So I see these two really, really conflicting and juxtaposed ideals of business and life and all of these things. And I do love this whole idea of being in flow and being in ease and life just feeling good and us only doing things and aligning with things that feel good. However, the reality is when you are spinning all of the fucking plates and doing all of the things, it's not always easy. And sometimes it can just make you feel, for me personally, I know, just like make me feel like shit for being exhausted and running a business and doing a master's and doing the client hours and sitting on my laptop all the time and missing meals and not prioritizing myself. But the thing is, for me, I kind of know that it's short term, so I know that there's a light to the end of the tunnel. But if there's one thing I'm certain of, it's that hustle and alignment both have a space. So the feminine and the masculine energies. And I think for me, what feels like feminine is when I wake up with my day and I have a day that feels good for me. I don't jam pack it with things. I don't overwork myself. I don't give a lot of my energy out. And I have space in my day to do other things. Like that for me feels like where I'm connecting to that feminine. And then the masculine feels like if I have a to-do list and I sit down and I'm very like on my shit and I'm getting things done and like really goal orientated, is when I feel quite masculine with the things that I'm doing. However, recently what I'm realizing is, you know, that hustle like slash masculine energy of mine is the dominant one. And it is the dominant one because I have to get stuff done. So somebody put in the comments on this post, you know, hustling is a state of mind. You can do all the things and be super productive without the hustle mood. And they also put, I do way more and love my life more when I'm in flow. It's just a choice. You can do hard things with lightness, ease and flow if you want to. So again, I love the coach who commented on that, and I very much agree in a certain way. However, my experience is the hustle takes over, and even though I know it's toxic and even though I know I am exhausted, I literally have no choice. So I cannot approach assignments and deadlines and academic writing with a sense of love and a sense of how can I make this feel good. Like, I hate academic writing. I hate the fact that I have to spend time in the library and spend so much time at my laptop when I've had a life that has just been full of freedom since I left my office job. You know, I hate that I have to take days away from doing what I'm passionate about in my business, and I have to go into placement twice a week. You know, I don't like all of those things. So for me, it's very difficult for me to approach them in a way that feels aligned and feels like it's not hustle, because it is. Like, and for you guys as well, if you're listening to this, like, you will know if you're working overtime or shifts, or you're trying to do a side business and you've got kids and you're just trying to juggle all of the fucking things. You know, sometimes there's things that do not feel good, and there's times when we know, like when we know that we are working towards feeling burnt out. We are pouring from our cup time and time and time again. So I think one of the things that I wanted to share on this episode is that, yes, right now I'm absolutely hustling like a motherfucker. Like, I am doing the things, I am taking the action, and I am doing it because I know that this is the next step towards me creating this life that I dream about. And this is actually what is required to get ahead. And I think that's another thing that we've downplayed or we've overlooked, and now we just think that everything can kind of be like ease and flow and on our terms to like get ahead and create success. And I don't think hustle culture is linked to success. But what I do know is there's going to be times that successful people have done the things that we are doing, have felt the way that we are doing, and they have no choice but to get it done. That's what I wanted to get from this podcast episode. There is room for both. So if I worked only from alignment, you trust me, I wouldn't be doing my assignments. I would not be going to probably half of the university lectures. I probably wouldn't be going to do placement and doing back-to-back 5.5 hour sessions. My God, let me reword that. I wouldn't be going to placement and doing 5.5 hours back to back with different clients, listening to different client experiences without a break and without a breather. I would not be doing that. I wouldn't be sitting in the library after a full day in uni on my laptop reading academic books. Come on. Why would I do that? So if I was because I don't enjoy that. I really don't enjoy that. So if I'm only working from alignment, I couldn't really, I would fail my masters. I would literally point blank fail. So, and this is what is sometimes when I think about me being in this space and doing it from alignment, I laugh because I just imagine myself going into the lectures and being like, I don't want to do that deadline, because it just really doesn't feel in alignment for me. May is not a good time. I just don't want to do it. Or I don't want to submit that week because, I'm getting my inner winter. I can't commit to getting that deadline in for you. Well, there you go. You would fail. It just doesn't work like that. And I know I'm being pedantic and I am teasing a little bit, but essentially what I'm saying is relevant, isn't it? And so I wanted to make this podcast episode and expand on things a little bit, because I wanted you to know that if you are hustling and you're working hard and you're building a business whilst also working, and you're a mum working towards your passion, and you're one of those women staying up late drinking coffee, you're spending too much time on your laptop and you know that, or you're working towards some big goal or promotion or job opportunity, or you're in uni and you're studying hard, I fucking see you, and this podcast episode is for you. I get it, and I know how hard it is. And I know how hard it is to navigate the masculine and the feminine, the hustle and the alignment. I know how hard that is, and I see you, and you are doing a good job. We are doing a good job. We are taking the steps that are necessary now for our futures and our future selves. So I see you spinning all of those plates, and I just want you to know that it won't be this way forever. And I guess one of the other things that allows me to lean in a little bit more to this hustle mode that I'm in at the moment is I know it's not going to be forever. So even little things for me, feeling very disconnected from my body, I don't feel as creative, I can't show up online as much. I always knew when I signed up to do a master's, I knew this day was going to come. I've juggled my business for the whole 2 years that I've done a master's. I knew this day was going to come, and it's okay because I know that it's short term. But my advice to you is, if this is your life all of the time and this is not short term, then this is not okay. And that's where change needs to happen, because you will always put yourself at the bottom of the list, which means you will always be pouring from an empty cup, which means you will face burnout. You will face compassion fatigue. You will be exhausted to your very, very core, with no room or movement for you to truly go after the things you desire. If this is your life long term, it's toxic, and we very much need to it's toxic when it becomes your life. But I think for a short period of time, for me, it doesn't feel toxic in this moment. I know it's not great, but it doesn't feel toxic. So here are the things I wanted to just leave some little tips that I'm doing to help manage this time. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm really, really setting boundaries with myself. So I'm setting boundaries, timed boundaries around how long I sit on my laptop without actually getting up off the chair, which sometimes I'm not very good at that, because also with the dyslexia, it can take me a good half an hour, 40 minutes to actually get into a piece of work, which is frustrating. So I'm trying my best to set timed boundaries about how long I sit in front of a laptop without getting up and moving my body. I am also setting boundaries in terms of like work count being done. So, I had a piece of work that I've finished early and I want to have it finished by the latest tomorrow. And for me, or in order for me to have got to this point, I haven't set big, huge expectations. I've not been like, I'm going to go and do my essay and bash out 1,000 words. It's been like, okay, I want to get 300 words done today, or I want to get this section of the essay done because I need to start my dissertation, which is due in very, very soon. I am not doing any coaching calls on the days that I have therapy clients. So all of these little things are, really when I'm setting boundaries with myself. And one of the other boundaries is that on a Sunday, I completely take the day off and I just do whatever it is that I want to do. And one of the other things that's really helped me also is, I mentioned on Instagram recently that I'd stop setting an alarm in the morning. So I sleep with my blinds open and now it's getting lighter earlier. What I'm finding is I'm waking up around the same time I would have woken up with an alarm, but I'm not waking up and feeling shit because I'm so tired. When the alarm was going off, my alarm was set for 6 a.m. When my alarm was going off, I was just literally jolted from such a deep sleep and my body was just craving getting back into bed. So now I wake up around 6:30, between 6:30 and 7 when the sun starts to come up. And it just makes such a huge difference because in my energy levels, and just giving myself that permission to just sleep until I need to sleep is also very important. So that's another boundary I've set with myself. So when you think about boundaries for you at the minute, like where can you set really, really strict boundaries to ensure you avoid burnout? And where can you set boundaries with yourself also that ensures you're getting the work done that you need to do? So they'd probably be like mini goals, wouldn't they? Actually not boundaries, but I guess you could look at them as like a boundary, because then you could be like, okay, no, this is very important today and I'm going to get that done, and set that with yourself. The other thing I'm doing is reminding myself all of the time that it's short term and I am being so compassionate towards myself. So like when I'm waking up and feeling just like, because I'll be honest, every single day I'm just waking up and I feel uninspired. I'm just waking up and I know I've got like a million things to do. Life just feels like it's running away from me at the moment. There's no time to like stop and breathe. I'm not eating the best that I could be eating, and but it's okay. I've been in this space before when it comes to like deadlines and studying. I've been in it before, so I know what it's like. But also I just remind myself like it's literally short term, and once those things are done, the sense of like achievement and accomplishment I will have, and also like how good it'll be to actually be qualified. Like I know that I'm working towards something bigger, so I'm okay with it being short term, and I just give myself that like pat on the back and just say like, you're doing a good job, like it's okay, just keep going. And then also know that the steps you're doing now are creating greatness down the line. So just remind yourself of what that vision is, remind yourself of what that goal is. If you're working all the hours under the sun, which again I wouldn't recommend if it's not for a long-term goal for yourself, remind yourself of why you're doing that, remind yourself of what the vision is, remind yourself of what the goal is. So they're just some little things that I am doing. And yeah, I think the biggest one is just like looking at it with a sense of compassion and being like, you're doing this and it's okay. And just really checking in with myself. And I think that's where I'm incorporating the feminine side, is like I am allocating myself that space. I am turning my phone off. I am getting out in nature a lot more when I do have a break, instead of like going to other ways of getting exercise in. I am going for walks and just being out in the fresh air, so I'm not feeling like I'm always sat in front of the laptop. And I am taking like nice baths. I come home from placement and let myself have a glass of wine on like a Thursday, and I'm just not beating myself up for it. Like if I finish placement and I can't be bothered cooking, I'm just picking foods up on the way, and I refuse to beat myself up about these things or tell myself that I should be doing better, or I should be doing more, or I should be showing up on Instagram, or I should be focusing on all of these other things, because at the moment I'm doing the fucking best that I can do, and I am working my arse off in order to get the qualification that I want, because I know that it's going to help my future. And the same applies to you guys. So please just take that you are doing your best. Please do not be mad at yourself. Please do not get in your own head or, add all of this extra pressure if you just notice that you're in a space where you're juggling all of the things. So just to end, I want to again reiterate that long-term hustle culture is toxic and it is not good for you. So if you are in a job where you are just avoiding burnout, or where you are experiencing burnout all of the time, and you are giving everything of yourself to a job or to, I don't know, a goal, or just that vision that you've got, remember that self-love is so fucking important, because you're not showing up in the world as your best self. You're not showing up in that job as your best self. Like, I know I'm not showing up on Instagram as my best self. I know I'm not showing up in my relationship as my best self, because I just don't have the space at the moment to just hold space for, let's say, Luke, or my friends, or my mom, or my sister, my family. I don't have a lot of emotional space to hold, and usually I'm that go-to person. So I'm just I'm noticing that, and I'm okay with that, just because I know that it's short term, because at the moment it obviously is myself giving out to my uni work and my clients. My clients are so important to me. So yes, that is where I'm at, and I just wanted to share this. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave me a written review. That would be incredible. You can now leave them on Spotify, which is cool. Please leave me a review and let me know how you found it on Apple. Share it with me, share it on Instagram, tag away, tell a friend, whatever it is, in order to get the message of this podcast out. The podcast is actually doing amazing. It's growing so quickly, which is so cute. I just see all of these downloads from around the world, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so funny. So I actually love doing the podcast, and I love the growth that it's getting. It's amazing. And the other thing I want to say is, if you do want to work with me, you do know that the doors to the divine are open, and I've actually pushed it back because of this week. I was just so busy, and now that I'm managing what I need, and I now that I know how my week will work, and I can figure out how my week will work, I'm very aware of oh my god, I don't even know what I'm saying, but essentially I've figured it out, and I'm okay, I'm doing it. So I've pushed the divine start date back, and I am really, really looking forward to having women in that space. And I think even me this time, going through the divine and going through the self-love work will be incredible for me, and just for you guys as well, to really offer you that space to work on yourself and to really work on your self-love and understand what it is that you the transformation that you want, for you to be able to step into a space and transform all of these different areas in your life will just be incredible. So if you are interested in that, the link to the landing page will be below, and you can either drop me an email or you can drop me a DM on Instagram. So yeah, I feel like the bittiness of my mind is coming out on this podcast episode. So yes, have a lovely week, and I shall speak to you next Sunday, you guys. So I see you, I love you, thank you for listening, thank you for being here, thank you for downloading, thank you for just being you, and I shall be back soon. Mwah. Mwah. Mwah.